Between claims of constant complaining and comments that would get anyone kicked to the curb, it's shocking that Logan Paul and Corinna Kopf were able to remain friends after their breakup. But what went wrong in the first place? It apparently wasn't love at first sight for Corinna Kopf and Logan Paul, considering that Kopf had publicly expressed her disgust for the vlogger a year before they got together. At the time in 2018, Paul was under fire for posting a controversial YouTube video, which showed the body of a man who had died by suicide in Japan's Okigahara forest. Paul later apologized in another video, admitting,
"I've made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment, and I don't expect to be forgiven. I'm simply here to apologize."
But the damage was done, with many left understandably upset and offended. The original video had apparently hit too close to home for Kopf in particular. She took to Twitter to post, "I'm truly sickened by this Logan Paul situation. My brother took his own life by hanging himself. How insensitive and sick can you be to film someone in that state?" Kopf later opened up in her own YouTube video about how that loss impacted her struggle with anxiety, saying,
"That definitely took a toll on my anxiety, and then the whole suicide thing where, I couldn't get my head around why somebody would have wanted to take their life."
While Kopf was clearly hurt by Paul's actions, as she revealed on his Impulsive podcast in 2021, they were able to work it out after they met up in person in early 2019. She recalled, "I was really, really, really upset about that situation. And when we met, we talked about it for like 4 hours."
And I was like, this guy's great. I love him.
Oh, thank you.
I forgive him for everything.
Fans may be well aware of what Corinna Kopf has referred to as her supposed, quote, sex god reputation. But it turns out that she and Logan Paul waited an entire year before sleeping together. As the Twitch gamer explained on the Impulsive podcast, she believes that this, along with her insistence on Paul getting an STD test first, are in part what ultimately led to the relationship's demise. While that seems to be a fair ask, Paul refused.
I said, I just got a test. I'm not going a separate time just to have sex with you. No.
Kopf went on to discuss how it's not only important for her to be safe, but that she's also extremely hygienic about sex, which may stem from her anxiety surrounding diseases. She even once admitted of her hypochondriac tendencies during a conversation with YouTuber Brandon Calvillo.
I spent a week 100% convinced that I either had lymphoma or I had leukemia.
Perhaps unsurprisingly then, she went on to reveal on her ex's podcast that she chooses her partners carefully and often gets tested herself, saying,
"It really does bother me when people think I'm this sex god in LA."
Kopf wasn't the only person to question Paul's safe sex practices, though. Per SK Pop, his own brother, Jake Paul, called him out on an August 2021 podcast episode, leading Logan to later clear the air, stating, "I just got an STD test because my brother made me think I was a dirty little and I'm a clean, large angel." While Corinna Kopf blamed her split with Logan Paul on their lack of intimacy, he has suggested it may have actually been due to an apparent personality trait of hers he noticed when they first started hanging out, prefacing to Kopf during her Impulsive podcast appearance that he once called her out on this.
And you mentioned it at the beginning of the podcast. You sometimes complain a lot,
Although Kopf didn't seem too pleased with this critique, it's perhaps not a totally far-stretched one, given that, as Paul went on to mention, her Instagram and Twitter handles are Pouty Girl, as is the name of her clothing line. One could even argue Kopf has made a successful career out of this supposed persona, which has gotten her millions of followers across her social media platforms and an extremely lucrative OnlyFans account. She also claimed with a laugh earlier in the episode when discussing the appearance of her smile and her various attempts at using Invisalign,
There's always something wrong. There's always something to fix.
To be fair, however, Paul himself has admitted to having very high standards when it comes to girlfriends. He even listed what he feels are must-have qualities in a partner to the times: wit, confidence, intelligence, opinionated, empathetic, self-aware, active listener, sexual deviant, talented, worldly, foresight, insightful, attractive, curious, and not a lunatic. But as the pro boxer added, I'm starting to think this list is unrealistic. Logan Paul and Corinna Kopf's relationship timeline is admittedly a bit hazy. While they first got together in January 2019 and didn't hook up until a year later, They initially ended what seems to have been an on and off romance in February 2019. Shortly after, Paul made headlines for not mincing words over the breakup, which briefly left the two on bad terms. On Impulsive, Paul implied that he wasn't as into the relationship as Kopp was during a discussion with his pals, saying, "Use the word relationship lightly."
She's a grown-ass woman.
True.
She can do whatever the she wants.
If you're wondering why Paul seems salty, these comments stemmed from Kopp writing in a since-deleted tweet on Valentine's Day to British YouTuber KSI, with whom Paul has famously feuded. Oddly, Paul liked the tweet at the time. Seemingly hurt by these public accusations about her love life, Kopp appeared to call Paul out on Twitter. "Damn, some men are so disrespectful in the way they talk to women. Your mother would be so proud." By the time Kopp appeared on Paul's podcast in 2021, they seemed to have worked things out. Playing along with Paul, who'd continued to make some arguably questionable statements about Kopp's sexuality since their split, she joked about Logan's own bedroom skills, perhaps giving the podcaster a little taste of his own medicine.
One time he's like, I want to last. I was like, okay.
Around the same time Logan Paul and Corinna Kopp first got together in early 2019, the gamer was also rumored to be dating fellow streamer Turner Tifu Tenney. However, Kopp and Tenney didn't appear to make things official until March of that year, when they posted now-deleted photos together. By May 2019, the couple also did a lovey-dovey Facebook Q&A, where Tenney shared that they had connected at a Fortnite tournament after-party after Kopp slid into his Twitter DMs. These two did appear to have their relationship problems, though, with the West Coast-based Kopp even seemingly hinting at one to fans during a joint live stream that June with her then-boyfriend who resided in Florida. She dished about the long-distance aspect of their romance via Deserto.com, saying, "All I know is that I go and visit you way more, and you just don't put in effort anymore. I want to take a break." At the time, Kopp was just messing with her beau. But was there some truth to the statement? She revealed on Mike Milak's The Night Shift in February 2020.
We dated for like almost a year. He only came to LA 3 times.
And you were in Florida all the time.
And I was in Florida for like weeks on end.
She added that Tenney never wanted to move to LA, and she never wanted to move to Tampa, so it just wasn't going to work long term. By April 2022, Kopp revealed that she was single on Twitter, but she was apparently looking for love, having previously captioned a January 2022 Instagram post with, "Someone wife me up already." Corinna Kopp wasn't the only one to quickly move on, however. By the spring of 2020, Logan Paul confirmed that he was dating model Josie Canseco, telling ET that they were super serious. Without naming names, the vlogger also seemingly shared insight into his split from Kopp, saying, "Full transparency, if you're a woman and you get tied up in my life, your life will never be the same. It's a whirlwind. So I'm hesitant to involve the person I'm spending my time with as much as I do everything else, for the sake of them and their life. Because I didn't realize with my last relationship, it had serious repercussions with this girl." Unfortunately, Paul's high-profile romance with Canseco didn't last long either.
It was a special moment or time for both of our lives. It just didn't end up working out.
Later that year, Paul reportedly hooked up with Call Her Daddy podcaster Alex Cooper, who dished on the BFFs podcast.
We weren't going to tell anyone. We were going to keep it to ourselves.
Don't you hate that?
And Logan Paul is really bad at keeping a secret.
From there, Paul was then linked to TikTok star Charlie Jordan after she attended his boxing match in the spring of 2021. He was also later seen hanging out with singer Olivia O'Brien that fall. Although Logan Paul and Corinna Kopp didn't make it as a couple, these two have made their way back to being friends, if the former's 2021 appearance on the Impulsive podcast is anything to go by. In addition to reminiscing about the ups and downs of dating, Paul also complimented his ex at the time, telling her,
"You're possibly the greatest guest we've ever had."
Luckily, this seems to be a running theme for both stars. Kopp even made a YouTube vlog in 2018 while hanging out with ex and fellow vlogger Toddy Smith, aptly titled, "We broke up, but we're still friends." Meanwhile, Paul opened up about remaining pals with ex-girlfriend and actor Chloe Bennett, gushing to ET 2 years after their 2018 split. "That girl changed my life. We're on good terms, and we both just appreciate each other." As for Paul and Kopp's short-lived romance, it apparently was just never meant to be, but at least it eventually led to some positive and entertaining content.
It's been a messy It's the road for us.
But other than that,
sexually.
we've just been good friends for the last couple
Yeah.
of years.
The duo then shook on it, as all amicable exes do.